You're going to speak into the mic, okay? Get close to it.
When do I start?
These are yours, okay? Those are yours to take home, like the 2 pennies.
When do I start?
You wanna bang the gavel and say, call the meeting to order?
Right now?
Bang the gavel.
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
Call to order.
Okay. Can you read this?
Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Tell Maria to recite the invocation. Maria. Maria, invocation, please.
Maria, invocation, please. What? I don't know what to do.
Say it again. Say it again.
Invocation, please.
Maria.
Maria, invocation, please. Please.
Okay. Yeah.
Pastor, what am I today? Hello. All right. So can everyone bow their heads, please? Lord, I just thank you and praise you for all these scouts here today. I just pray that they are able to learn about service today, and they are able to grow in this and hopefully serve up here later. Thank you and praise you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Tom Wheeler, Pledge of Allegiance. Tom Wheeler.
Who?
Say it. Tom Wheeler, Pledge of Allegiance.
Tom who?
Say it.
Wait, who? Tom who? Tom, Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, you do it, right? You ready to pledge allegiance? Okay. Yeah. Pledge of Allegiance. You ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rest your name up there, Melissa. Yeah, put the bottom right hand corner. And then, you could be David. Keep the bottom right hand corner. Perfect. Read this one out right here. Any additions to the agenda?
Any additions to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have some revisions in the agenda today. We will need to pull item 4B, the Planning Department Housing Specialist. And then we did have an item come to our attention after the posting of the agenda, and that's regarding bird abatement by our Public Works Department.
Very good. Public comment?
Public comment?
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session is set aside for members of the public to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the board but not appearing on the agenda. Items presented under public comment may not be discussed or acted upon by the board at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public is invited to comment at the time the item is called for consideration by the board. Any person addressing the board under public comment will be limited to a 3-minute presentation to ensure that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Also, all persons addressing the board must state their name and county of residence for the record.
Regular session. Loud.
Regular session.
Put that in a major town and say, in North Fork last night,
In North Fork last night,
we got 4.48 inches of rain,
we got 4.48 inches of rain,
and now total for the year
and now total for the year
is 54.86.
is 54.86.
Lots of rain.
Mr. Wheeler, what's their normal?
About 32 inches total.
About 32 inches.
Wow. We've almost doubled it.
Regular session.
Anthony Duhan, 200 West 4th Street, Madera County, Madera, California. So I went to this event. There was this Boy Scouts CIVICS Day, and there was fried chicken, but next time I want skinless chicken. It's unacceptable for there to be fried chicken there. When you could also, I want grilled chicken as well. Thank you.
There you go.
Tell them you're out of line. Tell them you're out of line.
You're out of line? You're out of line.
Okay, read this one out. Environmental health.
Environmental health.
Environmental health, hearing to consider an ordinance to amend Madera County Code Title 7, Section 13.09.030 to include spoiled food as a nuisance, requiring all refrigerators in the government center to be cleaned out every Friday of the week, and to impose a fine of $100 to be assessed to the county employee who leaves the spoiled food in the refrigerator.
Good afternoon, Chamber of the Board. My name is Jerry Becker. I'm from Environmental Health. And today I'd like to present to you a PowerPoint presentation in regards to the amendment we would like the Madera County Code section for include
Get closer to the mic.
to include spoiled food as a nuisance in the workplace.
You want to talk? Ask her if she's one of them that leaves the dirty food in there. Ask her if she's one that leaves all the old food in the icebox. She's complaining about that.
Do I have to?
She'll do that.
So our ordinance is any county employee or coworker allowing or doing nothing about storing food products as defined in this chapter as spoiled food to be placed in such a manner as to become a nuisance, health, safety, or unsightly collection of bacteria in the government center refrigerator shall be given notice of spoiled food within 2 hours of notice or pay the penalties of $100 per day. So the number one cause of foodborne illness in the workplace is leftover food. After 3 days that food's been left over, bacteria starts to grow. So I just want to give you some examples of some refrigerators. So sometimes they're somewhat organized. So they have names and they're packaged and
Junk in there.
put in there organized. And sometimes not so much. So you'll see some droppings on the refrigerator and, food droppings. And please check your food.
Who's responsible for this mess? Who's responsible for this mess?
It's the employees of Madera County.
Should be fired.
at the government center.
They should be fired.
Asking, are you one of them?
Are you one of them?
No, I'm not. I'm environmental health. So sometimes they're not at all. The refrigerators, you may see a dog in there. You may see mold, bugs, all kinds of growth. We don't even know what it is. We just toss it.
What does the $100 fine go to?
It'll go to the general fund.
Okay.
So I want to explain what the conditions that cause bacterial growth, which is that Tom. So in order for there to be bacteria growth, you have to have the food, and then you have to have the acidity.
This looks like the 4-4 break room.
So you do need the ordinance in place. And then you need the temperature. So if the refrigerator's too packed, then not enough airflow goes through, which makes it warmer, which, again, time, oxygen, and moisture. So there's the rules for the office fridge. So everybody should label their food with their name and the date when they put it in the fridge, and then throw away their own items when they get old, and then the fridge should be cleaned out every week, every Friday.
What if I wish to leave my food there over the weekend?
And then you could be fined $100 per day.
Well, sometimes I bake lasagna, and I leave it in that fridge on Friday, so I'll have tasty lasagna Monday morning when I come in.
Our motto, when in doubt, throw it out.
Blasphemy.
So we recommend labeling. So that's putting your name, the date when it was put in the refrigerator, and when it's expired. Eating expired the food first, so you want those items to go first. So if you could have a little box that says "Eat me first," then eat those items first before you eat the food. Again, our motto's, when in doubt, throw it out.
I've heard enough of motion to approve.
Say second. Second.
Somebody else can say second.
What? I second that.
I'm sorry, which supervisor made the motion?
Supervisor Wheeler did.
Wheeler did. Oh, thank you. Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Good. Thank you, Jerry.
4B, Planning Department, Housing Specialist. 1, discussion and direction to establish a housing specialist position within the Community and Economic Development Department Planning Division. 2, discussion and direction to the specialist to monitor Department of Housing and Community Development notices regarding funding opportunities and prepare applications as appropriate. 3, discussion and direction to the specialist to report to the board on an annual basis all activities relevant to housing rehabilitation.
Sure. Make me go after the spoiled food. Good afternoon, supervisors. Before you is a recommendation from the Planning Division to establish the position of housing specialist. In short, this would be an extension of what staff already does, but allocates a staff member solely to all the projects related to housing. As you know, we already oversee housing rehabilitation in all the communities within the county's jurisdiction. This will just basically allocate that staff person to a full-time workload on that. With that, staff remains available for questions.
Who's going to pay for this position?
Basically, what the county does is get grants through the state of California, and part of those grants, there's an allocation of what's called general administration, which means that the time put in by that staff member can be charged to that grant, so there will be no impact to the general fund.
If the grant runs out, who will pay for that position?
It is the hope of the staff that we'll be able to, as it's currently structured, with that we would be able to continuously apply for other grants, therefore have a continuing supply of this general administration funds.
But what happens if they don't?
We will ensure that there are provisions should the county not be able to get any grants from the state. We will, well, let me take a step back. The state will not be the only funding agency that we'll look at. We will, as part of the operations, continuously look for other sources of funding. Therefore, we won't be totally dependent on what the state is.
How much is the grant?
The current grants that we are currently funded under, one is approximately $2 million, and another one that we were just awarded is about $500,000. And that's total grant, of which a certain percentage is allocated towards general administration.
Ask that person if that person knows that if the grant runs out, he won't have a job.
If that grant runs out, will you have a job?
That would be up to the Board of Supervisors.
I know we don't have no money to pay it.
We don't have any money to pay it.
Well, I guess that would answer the question that as soon as I'm done here, I'm out the door.
Don't let it hit you, buddy.
If it does, I'm not paying for it.
When did this problem start?
Well, it's not necessarily been a problem in the long run. It's been something that the county has wanted to do since the early 80s, looking at the quality of the housing stock in the county and helping the low-income families. So we've been at this for 30-plus years.
How many families would that help?
A typical grant, let's use the $500,000 one, we've targeted 7 families. However, that does not mean only 7. It just means that is our minimum target to assist.
Do you have a person in mind for this job?
I would volunteer myself to take over those duties, as for the fact that I've been handling the housing rehabilitation grants for the last 6 years.
Does that mean you get a raise?
I don't know. I would like to, but I will leave that
You
up
will
to the
not.
Ask the CAO if he's got any comments on this money-wise.
CAO, do you have any comments on this?
To where the money will come from.
To where the money will come from?
I'm glad you asked. We could consider taking money from the local orphanages.
Oh, good job.
That's not a very good option.
I beg to differ.
Say, Dexter, do you got any ideas on this?
Dexter, do you have any ideas on this?
Well, ask him, what's the pleasure, boy? Yes. Yes. What's the pleasure of the board? What's the pleasure of the board?
What's the pleasure of the board?
I vote to deny this job opportunity.
I vote to deny this job opportunity.
I second.
Mr. Chairman, the item is agendized as direction only, so we really won't need to take a vote on this item.
And that's good, because I was going to vote no.
That's good, because I was going to vote no.
Next item, ask him. Next item. Ask him to say next item. Any more comments on the motion?
Any more comments on the motion?
There's no motion. Just have to go to the next item. I can't hear you. Go to the next item. Okay. Go to the next item.
Go to the next item.
The next item, unfortunately, is not listed on your agenda. It's one that we added, and it's a hearing on Assessment Appeal 12123 for I'm a taxpayer.
I must have a kiss.
So you're gonna, since this is appeal of an owner-occupied dwelling, the applicant gets to go first.
Hurry up.
I know I look a lot like the chief clerk of the board. However, I am not. I'm a taxpayer. And I'm here because the assessor's office never called me in almost 2 years. And then all of a sudden, I get a notice that I'm supposed to be here today. Really? So, he's going to give you all these fancy pictures and tell you why they're doing what they're doing. But I'm telling you, I kept all my receipts because that's just the kind of woman that I am. And they add up to $50,000. The land is $20,000. So my little love crib is $70,000, which happens to be the cheapest model in my neighborhood. It's really considered a $90,000 neighborhood, and the value should really be $70,000. So he's going to tell you how he's compared my house to some of the houses in the other neighborhood. But I talked to the person who bought the property at 437 West 5th Street, and they paid $140,000 because they came from the Bay Area, and they said that it was a Madera buy-a-house method, and they think it's really only $100,000. Excuse me, are you interrupting me?
Yes, I am.
I believe we are.
Okay,
Does
so
he care?
I would respectfully request that you let me finish so that I can...
Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The police are on their way.
So, you know that there's a thing called freedom of speech, and there's also my right to appeal this. So if you want to go to court, honey, we can go to court. So let me just summarize. May I please respectfully request that I be allowed to summarize? Mr. CAO.
You may summarize.
Thank you, sir. So, in just summary, instead of pleading my case, and I know you all know Howard Jarvis, and he's the man who wrote Prop 13, and he's a friend of mine, and he told me that I get an exemption from taxes. If he had his way, I'd get the exemption from the taxes. So I'm respectfully requesting that you honor in his memory and reduce my taxes. Thank you.
Ma'am?
Are you Mrs. Porter?
Are you Mrs. Porter?
I'm sorry.
No comment.
You said that's the kind of woman I am.
That's the kind of woman I am.
That's what you said. Say that's what you said.
That's what you said.
So what kind of woman is that?
So what kind of woman is that?
I said I was like Jack Porter.
You said that you're that kind of woman.
That keeps my receipts.
Oh, well, that's it.
Oh, that's it.
Are you a hoarder?
I don't understand how that's relevant to this case.
It is very relevant.
Keep all your receipts.
I do believe, according to the assessment appeals process, that I'm required to keep the receipts to show evidence for my case.
Where do you store all your receipts?
Electronically.
Couldn't hackers get in there?
Well, if they can get into mine, which also is shared with the county, then I'm assuming they can get into the counties as well.
How much do you want your tax it reduce?
I need the value of my house to be reduced down to $70,000.
No way.
Yeah.
Good man. You're okay. You're on my side.
What did the assessor value the house at?
I'm glad you asked that. I'd be happy to have Mr. Glover give his presentation now.
How do you expect the supervisors to get a raise if you're complaining about taxes?
Reduce your taxes.
Perhaps that question will be answered when the supervisors make their decision on my case.
I want you to answer it, though.
How do I expect the supervisors get paid? They're in the public service. Do they really need to get paid? Don't they volunteer most of their time anyway? I mean, they do work 24/7, and probably 20 hours of that is volunteer time. So really, do they really need the money on top of all that wonderful experience of volunteering their time?
They need the money to feed their families.
Ma'am, we're going to raise your taxes by 100%.
I don't think legally you can do that, Mr. CAO.
Oh, well.
So much for that idea.
Absolutely, we deserve a raise.
Absolutely, we deserve a raise.
Yeah, we do.
I second that motion.
County Council, is that relevant to this agenda item? No?
Me too.
I did not know that. No comment.
What's your pleasure, board?
What's your pleasure, board?
Oh, we got a presentation? Okay, he's going to have a presentation.
Yes, hi, I'm Brian Glover with the Assessor's Office, and we valued Ms. Taxpayer's house at $120,000 as required under Prop 13. So we used three sales.
Get closer to the mic.
We used three sales to value the property.
Get closer to the mic.
One at 48 West 5th Street sold for $124,000. It's a little bigger than the subject. Second sale is at 319 North Wheeler Boulevard. It's an older neighborhood and a little run down, but everybody has a big fancy pickup. So that sold for $115,000, and it was the only painted house on the street. And 699 East 3rd, that was a sale out of foreclosure. Prior owner took out electrical wiring, plumbing, and half the roof, and that sold for $70,000, which is the value that Ms. Taxpayer is asking for. So I have a quick presentation of a nosy neighbor and a disgruntled contractor that helped build the house, provided some pictures of the residents that might help you make a decision. So this is the front of the residence, fairly simply looking from the street, but when you get inside, we have the dining room and kitchen, the laundry room and master bedroom.
Wow.
Quite intricate detail on the ceiling there. We have the living room.
Wow.
An indoor swimming pool. And, of course, the golden toilet. So I would like to remind you, despite Ms. Taxpayer's statement otherwise, the board does have the ability to raise taxes in an appeal hearing. And we would like you to raise them because we need a coffee shop here in the lobby.
Oh, man.
This house is almost as good as my closet.
And I would like to add, Mr. Chairman, on behalf of Madera County Code Enforcement, I would like to present my credentials. These improvements were done illegally without permits, and so we will also be sending a citation to I'm a taxpayer, and to not only increase their taxes, but also she'll have to pay a significant fine. So I want to get you your violation notice here soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good job, Staff.
Good job, staff.
Okay, now you want to ask the board, what's your pleasure? What's our pleasure, board?
What's our pleasure, board?
Tell him I would like to make a motion
I would like to make a motion
to have staff go out and reevaluate the house.
to have staff go out and reevaluate their house.
Come back to us at a later time with those dollar amounts.
And come back to us at a later time with those dollar amounts.
I second.
Good job, buddy.
Same.
Good job.
I have a question. Why did it look like a space station instead of a living room?
Well, I guess that's what this
Photoshop
wanted.
Photoshop.
Like I said, those pictures came from her nosy neighbor and a disgruntled contractor, so we have not been inside the house yet.
So Wheeler made the motion and Porters made the second.
That looks like a multi-million-dollar home.
It certainly does, and I think we could get a coffee shop and the board could get a raise if we put it on for the right amount.
You're the man.
Or we all could get golden toilets.
But you can't set on those, so you got to just look at them and wipe them.
It's going to be so the chief came into a complaint.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier? Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Here. Here.
Now you got your direction.
Hope you're happy, Mrs. Porter.
Next is a presentation, discussion, and direction to staff regarding alternatives for addressing the bird issue outside the government center.
You look like the same person.
I know, but I'm not.
Why do you keep on saying that?
I believe this woman escaped from the insane asylum. The police are on their way again.
Can the clerk come help me? We're having issues over here.
IT. Norm, you get my text? Did you get my text?
Let's see if this is one. One of these works and one doesn't. Okay. All right, I apologize that I look like I am taxpayer and the chief clerk, but actually I am here on behalf of the Public Works Department. They were unable to make it today. They're quite busy given our recent flooding and mudslides and all. However, we're seeking your direction because we do have some issues with the birds leaving corrosive droppings and causing all sorts of problems in our parking structure and in our government center. So for those of you not familiar with our facilities, parking structure, and our government center. So the problem is, hopefully you can see this quite well, all the droppings in our stairwells, on the hand railings, and this is really creating an unsanitary condition. There's possibility of liabilities. There's liability and accidents risk, contamination, disease, and we're not even talking about the money yet that we've already invested in trying to get this all cleaned up.
They need a place to poo.
Yes, they do. Unfortunately, we're concerned about the risk that it has to the employees in case they slip and fall and all sorts of ugly.
Take the elevator.
That's another option as well. Yes, thank you.
What about the carrier pigeons I have on the roof?
Mr. Planning, do they have a permit for carrier pigeons on the roof? Thank you. In addition to the railings and the stairwells, we also have, usually after we've paid to have all the windows washed, they usually come and provide us with their little presents as well on the windows. So our primary problems are with our blackbirds and crows and with our pigeons. And so we're trying to figure out what are the alternatives, and that's why we're here today, supervisors, to kind of look at what we can do about that. So one of the things we have is a falconry-based bird control. And so there is a company, Airstrike Bird Control, that offers factory-based bird abatement for pest problems. And they're only regulated, but they're highly regulated by the federal and the state governments. Then we also have the option of various bird control devices, the ultrasonic sounds. This particular model is the Bird X Prowler Owl Predator Replica. This one is great. However, it's only visible up to a few thousand feet. So, and of course, you have your fake predators. And I don't know from my understanding, their success rate is very, very low. And then, of course, you always have your various bird control devices like your lasers, which those can be done either that could cost staff time for somebody to do it, or we could have it manually done. Now, we do have some other extreme measures that we're taking a look at. So, in this particular case, this one's not going to work. All right, hold on. I got to get the other one.
You should hire my cat.
Tactical nukes.
Hold on a second. Let me get back to mine.
I don't know why my cat likes bird dropping this. Why are you blaming the birds? They gotta go somewhere.
I agree.
Animal control can come over and bring a couple of animals like cats and dogs.
That's an option. I'm wondering about where they'll leave the carcasses. I need the one.
Keep them away from my carrier pigeons.
I got enough shotguns for each one of them, so we could just come out here and do a shotgun shooting day.
No, it's not that one.
I second that.
Sarah, could you come and help us with this one?
I second that. I third that.
Motion passed.
Yeah.
I'd really like to show you the alternatives. Just give me a second.
I also have this one on my shirt. You can make it see. Bolt. It's a board.
What's that?
Alright. Could you turn the sound on? So we do have our airborne lasers. The Air Force has already developed 3 weapon systems that are being tested in these cases. And we have our drones.
That was totally photoshopped.
And then,
Yeah,
of course, if all else fails, we always have our artillery rockets.
What about the damage?
Who cares?
Are you going to be paying for it?
So my question to the supervisors is I'm seeking your direction as to which alternative you'd like us to use.
All of the above.
All of the above?
We still have shotguns to do a better job.
Statistically speaking, I will look into it further, but it's my understanding, not really.
That would be good for me. Shotguns would do less damage.
I would do whatever the board directs me to do. Yes, sir.
Drop down and give me 20 push-ups.
Again, County Council,
Make
is
that
that relevant
50.
to the agenda item?
Can we speak with you and Miss Taxpayer at the, Miss Taxpayer at the same time, please?
I don't know who Miss Taxpayer is. I'm afraid I got here late, so I wasn't able to know who you're talking about.
Just call her phone.
Anyone have her number?
Then we'll send it back to staff for more information.
When should we use the drones?
I'm sorry?
When should we? Oh, I motion that we use the drones.
I second that.
I heard that.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Foytress?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Keep going right there. Supervisor staff reports.
Supervisors and staff reports?
None.
None.
I haven't got any right now.
I don't have any.
None.
Pending legislation.
The Hans are attacking the Great Wall again.
Why this time?
Catfish.
Darn catfish.
Number 6.
Pending legislation?
None.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
We're adjourned.
We're adjourned.
Thank you, guys. Great.
That's all? This is fun.
Tell him. I have a complaint. This pencil that you gave us don't work. Say it loud.
I have a complaint.
What's that?
These pens don't work.
You're out of order.
I second that.
I got mine to work.
You gotta keep rubbing it really hard, spit on it. It'll start working. You can take that. Oh, I see. It's got Yeah, here's one that works. That one works.
You guys should get some candles in here.
So do any of you boys have questions for the supervisors about government?
Can we order them to do 20 push-ups?
I second that.
I second that.
Well, I would tell you, young men, you're probably the toughest crowd that we've had so far. So I really appreciate all your role playing. It was fantastic.
They did good.
We're lawyers. Of course, we're good.
Well, that's it, guys. Don't forget your lapel pins.
Okay, he's in the right person.
We'll just heat it up.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. We'll heat it up.
This is like across from your, where you turn down your road. I just drive right off that church. In fact, I might drive. Have you go over there and help me unload.
What's your person's name?
Okay.
The person that you're...
I brought him back from the firewood.
Whoops.
Joe? Norm. Did you see my email? About
What do you guys think?
Campbell on
That was fun.
6 and Club Drive.
Different, huh?
Yes, I did. And
Do I take this home?
What is it?
I'm sure you had a board meeting.
Okay. You can get high-speed rail out there, but at least don't